We're going to start this soup because we have our beef thawed. Now, this is 2.5 pounds, and this one happens to be a ball tip roast. This is from Certified Angus beef, so just letting you know, good stuff. But this recipe actually calls for 2 pounds. I'm going to go ahead and use the full 2.5 pounds of beef. Normally, I would use a flank or a chuck roast because they're much fattier, but this is what we had in the house, and it actually, as you can see, has quite a bit of fat on it. So we're going to go ahead and use this one. So the first thing that we need to do is, and there's lots of schools of thought on this. I am not going to brown this roast, actually. Generally, you would brown the roast just to give it a more intense flavor. However, if I was doing it when I am making a roast per se, I would do that. But I am making soup, so it's going to be getting saturated in broth anyway. So we're going to go ahead and not do that. So we'll go ahead and we'll take it out. We're going to put it in this stock pot. I would suggest using a big pot, especially if you're making a large amount of soup. You don't want to have to switch pots mid-soup making. So I would say go ahead and use a stock pot like I have here. I'm going to put this just directly in my clean stock pot. And then we will go ahead and get the rest of the ingredients. So the rest of the ingredients are as follows. 6 cups of water. I'm looking at my recipe here because I don't make this every week. A teaspoon of salt. We're going to use, and it's really up to you if you want to use all of these ingredients or not. I generally don't use them all. I'm just going to read them off to you. 1/4 of a teaspoon of dried thyme. And then a lot of times people put a carrot, a stalk of celery, an onion in just to give the stock, the broth, some flavor. I actually do not do that. So I'm doing the beef, the water, the salt. I am going to actually leave out also all the rest of the ingredients until pepper, which I'm going to put some black pepper in it. It calls for peppercorns. I may use just a teaspoon of black pepper. And I will put some parsley in it, but I will not put any garlic or cloves, or I don't think I'll even use the bay leaf. So I kind of make this kind of a skinny recipe. I don't put a lot of stuff in it. So we'll go ahead and put this in, the water, salt, pepper, and some parsley, and then we will let this simmer for about 3 hours. So let's just get those ingredients. Go ahead and stick my salt in, a teaspoon of salt. Going to get my water here, 6 cups. And to be honest, you can do more water if you want to make more broth. It's really not that big a deal. They give you a certain amount in the recipe because that's just the strength. It makes it strong. However, you can add as much water as you want. I'm not sure I'd go with 12, but I actually might use 8 in this because I want to cover the beef. And I'm going to show you here. I think, let's see here, you can look in there. We need to use a couple more cups of water. It really isn't enough yet. Okay, let's see. Maybe just 2 more. Okay, I think that's better. And we'll get some pepper, and we'll go ahead and try to put close to, oops, oh no. Okay, I'm back. Well, that was exciting. My stock pot lid fell off the stove here and crashed into a million pieces, literally a million pieces, and so it's gone. So, let's see, can anything else happen? probably, but we'll just keep going. So now I've put my salt and my water in, and I'm going to go ahead and put some pepper in. I'll just estimate, perhaps trying to do a teaspoon or maybe half a teaspoon. An estimate on that, and I'm getting 2 more cups of water. Now, once this is done cooking and you've had your vegetables and all of that too, you can always season it the way you want to. Of course, this is just for the broth, for the beef and the broth that we're going to be using in this soup. So I was going to put parsley, and I think I'm going to wait on that and do that when I actually make the soup. So we just have in here water, salt, pepper, and beef. You probably do it a lot different, so you can just maybe write in the comments what you do when you make your beef and broth. But this is what we're going to do. So we're going to find a lid now, a substitute lid, obviously. And hold on one second. I'll just rinse that off a little bit. This is just the lid from IKEA that seems to work for just about everything. I guess it's universal. So we'll go ahead now and turn this on to start it out on high so that we can get it boiling, and then we will be turning it down probably to medium, let it simmer for a couple hours, and then we'll make our soup. So that's all for now. We'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so the ingredients for the hearty vegetable beef soup, I call it Mama's hearty vegetable beef soup, is, first of all, some of these vegetables I grew myself. Other ones we did buy in the store. So we're going to go with, first of all, the corn, which I did not grow. And so we'll be using 1 cup of frozen corn. Now, you could use canned. If you drained it, that would be fine. I like to use frozen because I don't can my own vegetables except for tomatoes, which is a little bit different. So all of my vegetables would be frozen. And then some of my green beans that are frozen. And we're going to need, generally you should have a cup of, a cup of green and a cup of wax beans. There might be some wax beans in here. I did grow some this year. So we'll need 2 cups of beans total. Not many people like lima beans, but I love them, and you can pick them out if you don't like them in your soup. But I do not grow lima beans, although I would like to try it at some point. So we're going to need 1 cup of lima beans. These are the peas that we grew. We're going to need 1 cup of peas. And let's see. I already poured this out to measure it. These are my canned tomatoes. Oh, look at that label. That's one of those dissolving ones. So 4 cups of canned tomatoes. I'll show you those when we put them in. We are also going to be using 12 cups of the beef broth. So we will have to add probably a little bit of water to what is currently in the beef pot. Also, we'll be using 2 cups of potatoes, peeled and cubed. These are the ones that we grew. They are Algonquin potatoes, according to my son. So, haven't tasted them yet. So we're excited for that. And we're going to need, I believe we're going to need 1.5 cups of carrots. And these are the carrots we harvested this morning. So we'll be doing that. And then salt and pepper that we'll add as well. This recipe, interesting story. This recipe calls for onions. However, my mother does not eat onions. And that might sound strange to some people. I will go into that story a little deeper, why she doesn't like them, in another video. But for now, we are actually not going to put onions in this because I'm not used to it with onions because Mother never did that. So we're going to do onionless. But you can add onions, and I believe it's about 1 cup of onion if you want to add that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and chop up our potatoes. We'll show you a little of that process, just a little. I'm going to have my son cut the potatoes. I'll peel them. He'll cut them into cubes. Depends on the size that you want. I like big chunks. Some people don't. I think Oliver is, he's off screen here. Oliver, do you like little or big pieces of vegetables in your soup?
Big.
Big, so he does too. So we'll go ahead and make them fairly large. Okay.
How big am I supposed to cut these?
So cut them as the size that you would like them.
Okay.
So Oliver's now cutting the potatoes, and so that we can just show you what size we're going to do. And I actually had a taste of this potato. I haven't tasted these before. Like I said, they're so delicious. So we'll take a look at this, and you can see that's a really good size, a nice hearty mouthful of potatoes. And then we'll measure out 2 cups of these.
Chin.
Okay, so Oliver's taller than me, obviously. So now we're just about done with the potatoes. We're going to be chopping the carrots. So look at that cute carrot we harvested today. I took off the end already. Now, here's something that not everybody probably does. I actually, when it's a nice fresh carrot like this, I do not peel it. So we're going to cut off the top, and then we'll be left with the carrot. And I'm going to have him cut these probably in 1/4 inch, between 1/8 and 1/4 inch slices. And we're going to need 1.5 cups of this. So now we're chopping the carrots, cutting the carrots, and then we're going to start putting everything into the pot of meat.
Right.
Yep. So we are chopping the carrots. Lovely. Since I freeze my beans pretty much whole after I blanch them, actually I blanch them whole, I don't chop them into pieces, so Oliver is cutting them into nice bite-sized pieces. Okay, so here's the beef chopped up. I did drain out the broth so that I can measure it. I needed 12 cups. I had to add about, I don't know, almost 2 quarts of water to this. So, but it's a pretty fatty broth, so it should still retain a lot of its flavor. And in here, there's something else I want to talk about. Sometimes you'll get hunks of fat. Personally, I love that. So I leave it in. I figure if anybody doesn't, they can just kind of, take it out. Okay, so we have the beef and the broth in the stock pot again. I am going to go ahead and turn this on to medium so it gets heated up again. And then I'm going to start adding a few of the ingredients. First thing I'm going to add is I actually put in here with my tomatoes, the potatoes and carrots. I'm going to get those into the pot. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour the whole thing into here. I know you probably can't see it very well, but that's all going into there. Now we have beans. 2 cups of beans going in. We're going to measure out a cup of corn. Okay. There's got some broccoli in there with the corn. So a cup of corn. We're going to do a cup of lima beans and a cup of peas next. Meanwhile, I'll go ahead and get something to stir this with. Okay. It looks beautiful. So colorful. I'm going to turn this up a little more to high and get that going. Okay, so cup of lima beans. Not everybody's favorite, like I said, but personally love them. Thank you. So cup of lima beans. And then, no, we just need the peas. And so we're going to do the peas. There are pea pods in there too. I froze them. We're not going to put the pea pods in. I did freeze some pea pods because those are really good to have in some of your stir fries. But in this case, I'm just going to use the peas. We'll put a cup of that in there. And then I think we just need the salt and pepper, and hopefully that will be it. Noise. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we have our cup of peas going in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get 1.5 teaspoons of salt and then a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Oops. And for now, I'm just going to estimate the pepper because that's what I did last time. I'm a fan of pepper, so personally I would put a lot more than that in it. And we'll just go ahead and try to control ourselves today. Okay, so 1.5 teaspoons of salt. 1.5 teaspoon. All right. We'll give this a good stir. It's going to be delicious. Okay, once this gets boiling, we'll let it boil. We will cover it. And we will let it basically do a simmer for about, a semi-boil, but more of a simmer, for about 35 minutes. So, we'll see you back when it's time to taste it. Okay, and I also promised parsley. So, my fresh parsley, I'm not sure if it is doing well. Let me check real quick. Actually, yes, I'm going to go out and pick some fresh parsley. We're going to put a little bit of that in this, okay? Okay, I just went out and got some fresh parsley. I have these. These are my herb shears, and they will chop the parsley as I cut it into the pot. And I'm not using a lot, just a little bit here, because it can be kind of strong. It might just give it a little zing. So I'll cut that right into there. Make sure it gets off of there. Give that a little stir. It's getting ready to boil, so we're going to put the lid on very soon and do that simmering. Okay, so the soup is done, and we're going to go ahead and have a little taste test here. Let you know how it tastes. Oh, okay, he's already started, so let me try. Here we go. Good and hot. Potatoes are very tender. Carrots are very tender. It's pretty rich, would you say, Oliver? Good beans, corn, peas. Now for me, I put a little more salt in it. I like a little bit more salt, so I may do that. And I would say overall, it's quite comforting and full of nutrition and homegrown veggies and delicious. And what's your verdict?
Good.
Awesome.
A little more salt.
A little more salt. Maybe perfect. Thanks for joining us. Until we see you next time, stay rooted and grounded. Bye-bye.